start recording. So, um, beginning with the theoretical part of film studies, there are certain aspects, like I said, what we study in film studies is not the same that we study in literature. The concepts that we begin with in film studies is, let me pick up the first one, it is photography. How do we approach photography in film studies is what has been done by one of the students in one of the batches. He compared, we covered Hamlet, one of the productions of adaptations of Hamlet by Kenneth Branagh, and we also did HAIDER, and he compares photography in the how has photography been approached by Alex Thomas in one movie and Pankaj Kumar in another. There are several examples that this person has given in the present in these PPT. So starts with the definition, then shows the gravedigger scene that we have. One hand side, left hand side shows you how Kenneth Branagh has it in his adaptation, and on the right hand side is how Vishal Bhardwaj has it in his. And these are two ways of viewing the same item at hand. The making of motif of death represented in the skull, the hollow portions of the eye and the nose. And the right hand side one also, in addition to that, has snow on it. These are two approaches to it. I'll quickly go through these PPTs because theoretical part is extensive, very, very extensive. And this is what we take up in slowly in each classes that we have later on. And there are various types of shots that we study in photography. The first one is called extreme long shot. So there are a few examples of it from the two movies. This one is from Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, and this one is from HAIDER. These shots are called extreme long shots. Another extreme long shot. The second type is long shot. Long shots is this the distance of camera from the object that is to be captured. It's a little less than the one you have in extreme long shot. Then there is also another critical perspective. Why do we have extreme long shots? What's the perspective behind choosing a particular shot for a particular scene? And it's the director's choice which shot he chooses for a particular scene. And what goes behind it, we'll come to that slowly. This is comparing, this one is from Kenneth Branagh's long shot, and this one is a long shot from HAIDER. So we have a medium shot. A medium shot is where you can see half of the body of the characters that you're supposed to study. This is Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is the one. Kenneth Branagh is one of very, very, very famous directors, and this is the movie that he has Hamlet. And in this medium shot, you can see three characters and not just one. But in another shot that we have after this, you can see only the face of the character. This one from Kenneth Branagh, and this one a medium shot. Again, you can see several people, though the ones on the right hand side are not part of the shot. They are called extra characters. We'll come to that later on. But the ones on the left hand side are the ones that we actually are studying in this medium shot. Again, this is called a deep focus shot. In this deep focus shot, the director wants you to focus on the left hand side character, and the right hand side is a blurred view, though you can understand the silhouette of the face, but you cannot clearly distinguish the features of this character. Again, deep focus, you can see the character on the front and not the army personnel at the back. This is also called a wide angle shot, deep focus shot. Okay, another deep focus shot. Part of it is blurred, part of it is the focus of attention. And extreme close up. There are reasons why, again, I repeat, there are reasons why a person chooses to have such shots, such close-ups. Okay, let's skip the rest of this presentation, this one, and start another. Now, this one, second one. Now, the second one after photography we have is about mise-en-scene. Mise-en-scene is another concept of film studies not found in literature. Now, in this one, in this mise-en-scene, there is a different comparison between Hamlet by Branagh, again the same movie, and Vishal Bhardwaj's HAIDER. And what we see in mise-en-scene, it's derived from a French vocabulary. French word translates into placing on stage. But what all do you place on stage? There are many things that are part of this. It's not just placing of characters, placing of setting, props, costume, makeup, facial expressions, and body language, lighting and color and positioning of characters and objects inside the frame. All are elements of mise-en-scene, and each are to be studied in every scene. And what are their critical imports is what we derive at finally when we study film studies, when we study a film and hand. After this, we have the analysis of mise-en-scene in several movies. This one is Kenneth Branagh. So the study is that when the scene opens, when we have the name of the movie is shown to you. It reads the movie title moves horizontally across the screen in Branagh's Hamlet, whereas the letters are in Gothic font and seem to be boldly carved in a type of wall, which is suggestive of neoclassical age. Also, it conveys that the action followed will take place in and around a castle. Whereas, comparing Kenneth Branagh's opening of the title to Vishal Bhardwaj's opening of the title, this one, the letters are drawn in white font, surrounded by blackness. The name is slightly stained with blood. The three colors, black, white, and red, have an important symbolic reference and remain dominant throughout the movie. So this also tells you what is the take of the director to the movie. Like in the previous one, he situates his whole plot inside a castle and outside a castle, in and around the castle. But HAIDER is not like that. Mostly it perpetuates things through the symbolic use of color, red, white, and black. Sometimes black is darkness, sometimes it's evil. Sometimes this red represents passion, like we did in the previous sessions. This red is sometimes passion and sometimes blood and violence. Moving on in mise-en-scene. So I skipped this one. I'll take this one. In mise-en-scene, what you have in this image, is divided into three parts. The three parts are background, foreground, and midground. So in this image, what you have is all the three characters are in the midground. The faces of the characters are in the midground. And they are also, all of the three taken together become the foreground as well. The three characters stand in this single plane. Foreground is occupied by Gertrude and Claudius respectively. Foreground is the front part of it. What comes immediately after the camera? It is the man and the woman. The woman is Gertrude, the man is Claudius. And what is then in the midground is what comes after it. It's their son, Hamlet. And this positioning is also important because focus, the director wants you to pay attention to the nuptial bond of his mother and his uncle, the two getting married. And his expression is very significant. Everything is to be studied. Their makeup, and look at the colors, red, white, and black. So who represents red? Passion, represented in Claudius. And white as in a maiden. So here, white doesn't represent death like snow in HAIDER, but here white represents maidenhood, though she is not a maiden. She is marrying for the second time. And the one in the black is evil, something not evil though, but it can be called sinister. That's going on in the head of the son, this bond that he is not ready to accept. Let's compare this one here. The three characters are situated diagonally. So it's from the left bottom corner of the screen to the top right corner of the screen. It's called diagonal situation, situating characters diagonally from bottom left corner, top right corner. In this diagonal representation, again, you have a foreground, you have a midground, and you have a background. What's his name? I don't remember. Hilal and Kuram, yes. The three characters are situated diagonally to one another, with Haider being the focal point of action. Dominant contrast. The position of Kuram on the edge of the frame ominously foreshadows an undesirable intrusion or attack. Look at the way his eyes are positioned, Kuram's eyes. Pay attention to how he, again, that the sinister look that you had in the previous one, sinister look on the face of the son Hamlet. Here you have it on the face of Kuram. This is what you study in mise-en-scene, how characters are placed, situations are used, etc. This comes under mise-en-scene. Yes. So this one was the scene I was talking about in the previous session we had, 391 and 352. Something is important about it. I don't want to discuss that right now. When we come to the regular classes and come to this point, I'll discuss that with you. The mise-en-scene of the same shot is minimally stylized. Why? Because you don't have many props. Just two boats and the sun crying over something, because he has just recently found out the grave of his father. Of Buji's grave, it's more realistic in style, as the narrative is simply made to rely only on the facial expressions and body movements of actors rather than other indirect symbolic elements in the frame. And also, there is no dialogue that you can pay attention to. Then, how does the narrative come to place in it? Narrative comes into place by means of photography, by means of mise-en-scene. It doesn't always need to be said. It can be depicted. Being as brief as I can in this one again. So this is what you have in mise-en-scene. Moving on to the next. The next we have acting. Again, a comparison between the two movies. What do you have in acting? What do we study when we study acting? First, that you need to know about acting is that there are various types of it. Film acting is more about the director than the performer. Actors in movies cannot creatively dominate the screen to the extent a stage actor does. Stage actor is the one who plays in a theater. But in movies, much of this is dominated by how the director wants it. And also, there are certain tricks of filmmaking. We are doing acting, right? So there is a character, the ghost in Hamlet. How does Kenneth Branagh have it in his movie? So how will the director play this ghost? You will also have the Throne of Blood. In that, Akira Kurosawa has his own way of portraying a ghost, and so has Kenneth Branagh. If I can play this, no, what I can only do. So this atmosphere represents the ghost, basically, and it doesn't need acting or always a character. There is one of the slides that gives you briefly the types of characters. One is extras, camera material that's external to what you think are characters. There are examples given in the following slides. Non-professional performers who are authentic appearance of the characters rather than their acting capability. Then there are trained professionals who are the majority of the actors, and there are stars. These are the famous performers. These are called extras. These are non-professional performers. The Molvi is actually a Molvi who is performing in HAIDER, and a lot of controversy associated with that. And here what you see is trained professionals. Their job is acting. And this is a star, Mel Gibson, a booming star at the time he was cast as Hamlet. This is another Mel Gibson movie. This is not Kenneth Branagh movie. He is the Hamlet in Mel Gibson. Now, various acting styles that will also again come to be discussed when we come to the study of. So farcical acting like this one. Silent acting like this one. And then film has its tone, makeup and physique is also important for acting, for a character to be truly believed in. For example, Ophelia going mad, makeup is important. So Ophelia, the distress comes on her face because of the makeup. Acting, that's an important part of acting too. I'm sharing the movie now, and we are going to discuss how it works in a movie.
We have to let her in.
क्या बोल रहे हो?
सामिया को डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया. She wants you to let her in.
So,
what you saw in this one in the last part, it shows you the Oedipus complex that you are very much familiar with. I'd only discuss this part when he comes to look at the ruins of the house of his home. So from the ruins of a house to what it was before that, a home with a loving father, a loving mother, a mother he cared for. But you also see the distress in him coming on his face, in his expressions, in his acting, which also tells you something more than what the story tells you. He comes back from a legal Muslim university, but was it for his father being detained, or something more? Is it because he is devastated by knowing that his mother has a relation with his father, sorry, with his uncle? He doesn't know about that yet, but he knows something. He feels deeply about his mother and his father, and soon after he will get to know about the incestuous relationship she shares with his uncle. But look at this, how does he first feel where they are? And this also only tells you when he goes into the past, when he tries to slip into the bed of his parents, tells you all the Oedipus complex, when he puts some perfume on his mother's neck, Oedipus complex. And he also loves his father too much, but something is there, not more than the mother. And what after that? How does it change? In the Oedipus complex, what happens after the complex? Unless and until you replace your mother with a female in the likeness of your mother, you won't get over that complex. Something like that happens here.
चले भी आओगे गुलशन का कारोबार चले
हैदर मैं आपसे लड़ना बंद करूं
so in this part, what you get to know about the story is that he is not yet ready to replace his father, but there is a female who can replace that situation. But the telling of the tale, the narrative is such that the hero is going through a psychological trauma, and he can only come out of that trauma if he takes the help of this female. She becomes an important figure for the story to be carried forward in a proper way. He requires her. So after this, he again, the ruins become important, and also there is one sound that is there in the background of ravens. Why ravens? Because they too feed themselves upon the ruins.
तो ये था तुम्हारा इम्पोर्टेंट इंटरव्यू
भाईजान
जिसकी वजह से तुम एयरपोर्ट नहीं आ पा रही थी मुझे सी ऑफ करने
आप गलत समझ रहे हैं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है
बकवास कर बाल
भाईजान भाईजान सुनिए
अब कभी मैंने तुझे इसके आसपास भी देखा
भाईजान
डिसअपीयर हो जाएगा अपने बाप की तरह समझा हट जा।
Again, the same placement. The placement, diagonal placement. Somebody's in the foreground, middle ground, and background. What is narrated in the dialogue is also something like that. A foreground of the story is that a brother comes in between the relation of a girl and a boy. The girl plays a significant role. She won't let you. And in the background goes Hamlet or Haidar. So this is how you analyze everything, and also look at the expression, you cannot. Here Haidar realizes that his mother has been wrong somewhere. And the rest goes on. The discussion will be carried forward theoretically as we have it. Any questions?